Give him a heater.
You're now listening to Clear the Mechanism.
The Robby Rose Show.
The Robby Rose Show.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Robby Rowland here. Happy quarantine. Happy social distancing. Hopefully everyone is staying safe and everyone is social distancing. I don't know why I started the podcast off like that, but it was something that I just wanted to get off my chest. But all right, so I got a Q&A podcast for you guys. I've been getting a lot of really, really good emails of late from individuals with really good questions. So I like to answer those questions in an audio form and then go ahead and turn it around into a podcast, because the five individuals that asked the questions today are not the only ones that have these questions, but they were the ones brave enough to go out of their way and talk about it. So like I said, we got 5 questions for you guys. If you want to jump ahead to whatever the questions are, if you saw in the show notes or the title of the episode which questions I'm going to be answering today, you can go ahead and jump ahead just to hear your specific question. But the first question we're going to hit at the 6:17 mark. Second question we're going to hit at the 12 mark. Third question we're going to hit at the 17:11 mark. Fourth question will be hit at the 22:20 mark. And then the fifth question will be hit at the 28:58 mark. So hopefully you guys listen to the whole show, but if not, and you just wanted to, if you were just interested in one of the questions that we are diving into today, you can go ahead and skip ahead. So with that being said, time for the sponsorships, but instead of the sponsorships, I'm just going to talk about the company and then what I just did recently that you can find in the show notes. So what I just did was I just released a product review on the Diamond Kinetics pitch tracker and the Pitch Logic by F5 Sports Baseball, both of which are, trackers that are the sensors in the baseball that allow you to kind of get your pitch data, your data analytics. So I've been getting a lot of questions regarding that stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of time to be had right now to improve your game. So I think, a lot of these specific tools come about in the conversation of what I should get to consistently improve. And so I just wanted to do my part and give an honest review. So in the reviews, if you guys have not checked them out yet, I encourage you to do so. I compare the Diamond Kinetics ball to the Rapsodo unit, and then I compare the Pitch Logic ball to the Rapsodo unit, and then I'll give my personal review on the two. The Diamond Kinetics review can be found therobbyrowshow.com/diamond-kinetics, and then the Pitch Logic review can be found therobbyrowshow.com/pitch-logic, but I will include the links in the show notes. So whatever app that you listen to this podcast on, you can just go to details or scroll down or whatever it takes for you to check that out and click the link. I will also include a link I'll talk about a little bit later in this episode that I just did a segment on, essentially, why are you uncomfortable in games? I get a lot of questions regarding that dynamic, and I kind of wanted to elaborate on this topic a little bit more. So like I said, I'm creating a segment on that right now, and I will link it in the show notes as well. Next thing I wanted to touch on was my mechanical analysis service. For those of you guys who do not know yet, I branched off and did a mechanical screen option as well. So just to give you some more context on that, my full mechanical analysis package includes a mechanical screen where on my computer I record the screen and I show, the individual and then compare them with somebody and then talk about this and voiceover, and it even records my face and we talk about it. And that's the screen portion, right? It goes usually about 5 to 10 minutes. And then for the full mechanical analysis, not only do I include that, but I also include an analysis recap where I go out back in my pitching lab and I just record the camera, record me, and we just go over some things that are highlighted to just kind of give you more context and this and that. And then the full analysis package also includes a full list of drill progressions, strength and conditioning and mobility recommendations, product recommendations, throw variations, and all of that stuff. That's included. That is the full mechanical analysis option. I also, like I said, have a mechanical screen option now where it's just the screen. It's going to be obviously a lot cheaper than the full analysis package, but if you're somebody that is in need of identification of your delivery and trying to figure out where your biggest deficiencies lie, then that option is going to be the best for you. Because like I said, I record the mechanical screen and I show you kind of where your deficiencies in your mechanics are. And, that's a lot more simple of a choice, but again, it provides you that information that you need moving forward. So be sure to check that out. I'll link all that stuff in the show notes, and the show notes can be found therobbyrowshow.com/QAPod9. But like I said, I think all of the links are clickable on your podcast app, whatever you listen to that on. So we're going to dive into it. But as I said before, if you want to skip ahead to any of the 5 questions, feel free to do so. And all right, cool. All right, guys. So first question that we're going to tackle today goes like this. I've been having trouble on being consistent in my mechanics. Sometimes they are really good in bullpens, but then when I get into games, they aren't the greatest, especially with my arm path, which is annoying. I was just wondering if you have anything that would help me. So we're going to listen to my email response back to him, and then I'll come back and add some more context. Yo, what's going on, man? Good question. So this is actually a commonality amongst a lot of youth throwers, youth pitchers, is they get into a very controlled setting, when you're throwing your bullpens or you're throwing your catch play and everything feels really good. And this is actually something that I dealt with too early in my pro career. And then you get into a game and, whether we like it or not, the game setting is just different, right? Like, I think we can kind of say all of the cliche things in the world when it comes to being comfortable in a game, but the reality is the game is just different. There's a guy at the box, the lights are on, people are watching you. There's, performance. There's so many things that go into it that just make it different. Now, your human response is going to change because your mind in a bullpen setting is comfortable, and then your mind in a game setting is a little bit uncomfortable, I guess. So typically when guys ask me questions like this, it's there's kind of 2 ways to approach it, right? So one, you change your practice setting, you change your bullpen setting, right? So you make that bullpen, or you make your flat ground a little bit more challenging. Put something on the line, have a guy stand in the box, start simulating an at bat, right? So you kind of just get that motion memory of knowing how to be comfortable during competition. And now the second thing is more of an in-game mental adjustment. So in a game, it's your responsibility to kind of slow things down. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, but like I said in the beginning, the game is going to speed up regardless, right? So it's about you identifying how to best slow it down, right? Taking those moments of, I've just thrown 2 balls in a row, or I've gotten a little bit out of whack, or I've cut 2 fastballs glove side and down. Take a step off the back of the mound, gather your thoughts, have a mechanical cue that you can go to that's not going to overcomplicate things, but it's going to put you back on track. And then the other option obviously is do both. So hopefully that helps, dude. I've been there, man. I've been to the point where, especially as a starter on a 5-day routine in pro ball, where you put in so much work during your practice days and things get really, feel really good. You're comfortable with your delivery and your release point's consistent and things are, going the way you want. And then you get into a game and it's like, what the heck, different guy. And I think from just my personal experience, it's just because the game setting's different, and you have to train your mind, you have to train your body to be more comfortable when things are on the line. So hopefully that helps, dude. And best of luck to you moving forward, man.
Yeah, just to add some context to that, guys, we see this a lot. And again, I struggled with this, firsthand early in my career.
Just because it's different, right? It's just a different setting. And if we can be more intentional with how we go about the ability to change the setting to better equip us for when we do get into a game. And I know we can sit here and basically say that the game is going to be different regardless, but I think there's things that we can do within our training environment that will better equip us. Like, even the littlest things, putting something on the line, making a bet, like whatever it is, I think those little tiny things, they matter, and they will have a direct carryover into being more comfortable when, essentially pressure's on, right? I think it's just about performing under pressure and almost, drawing that what is it? There's a phrase that I'm totally drawing a blank on, but that like numbness to pressure, right? Like you see the greatest athletes of all time in these super high pressure situations, and they execute, and then they go back and they ask that athlete like, hey, what was it? And it was just like, yo, like I've been doing this for so long. I've been in moments like this for so long. I think it goes hand in hand with that, just put yourself in those moments, even if it's in the backyard. I think we can almost trick our brain into doing stuff like that. I know that's something that I've been pretty much intentional with the past 2 years. So hopefully you guys got something from that, because I know the individual that asked that question is not the only one that struggles with a dynamic like that. Okay, going to question number 2. This individual reaches out and asks, and I quote, I'm a 16-year-old pitcher. I had Tommy John surgery 2 weeks ago and am just starting physical therapy. I love your content, and it makes me hungrier for the comeback every day. Most of my teammates are well into their recruiting process, and many of them have recently committed to D1 schools. Seeing all of them excel is pretty difficult, and just when I thought I was going to break the ice this fall, I got injured. Can I get some advice from the mental aspect of returning from an injury? Thanks. Yo, what's going on, man? So first of all, I'm sorry to hear it, man. Like any injury that takes you away from the game that you love is absolutely devastating. Speak from personal experience there, and being 16, being a young guy, having TJ, I'm sure it's extremely difficult. Just because you want to be active and you want to continue to grind and continue to get better at this game, but yeah, man, it's gonna take a mental toll on you, no doubt. I think you're gonna learn a lot about yourself throughout this process, and I would just say, as one athlete to another, I said this in another podcast. I was talking about the rehab process, and the biggest thing that helped me along the first few months being down, not being able to do anything, was constantly like challenging myself with other things, right? Like constantly trying to find other things that I could do that allowed me to like compete with myself or whatever, because that's kind of what makes us athletes, is that love for that competition. I think when we do face an injury like this that takes us out of the game that we love, it's really easy to fall into that like dark path of like losing your identity, not really knowing what to do and how to go about it and stuff. And I would just say, like, take little things, man, and just start like competing, take your nutrition extremely serious, challenge yourself to be like, all right, I'm going to eat clean for a month straight, or I'm going to cut this out, or I'm going to take a cold shower a day for a month straight, or I'm going to challenge myself to get 10,000 steps, like whatever it is. Those are kind of just examples that that I did. But it gives you an opportunity to take a step back from the game and learn about the game just by watching it too, right? I mean, I know you're 16 and this is a little bit more advanced, but the injury that I suffered was big time blessing in disguise. I got to do a lot of really cool things that I wouldn't have got to do if I was playing. And one of those things being I was able to watch the game and really like look and, find other things that was happening that I wouldn't have really necessarily seen if I was still playing. I was more watching it, like analyzing it and kind of just challenging myself by watching the game, being like, okay, what would I throw in this position here? Or how's he set this guy up? Or kind of just seeing tendencies from the players out there and kind of incorporating that or putting that in your brain. And then when you come back, you kind of have that understanding. So, but yeah, man, I know it's tough, right? Because you see everyone around you and they're healthy and it's like, holy smokes, I'm not. I know how frustrating it is. I was training, before I got the surgery. We didn't know yet if I needed surgery or not. And I was training with a bunch of other athletes that were, no restrictions. They could do whatever they want. They were throwing. And I was like, man, this stinks, but, what are you going to do? That's why I say, like, control the controllables, man. Like, do something every single day and do a lot of things actually every single day. That's going to better equip you to be a successful baseball player down the road, because you're going to come back, dude. And that's another thing that I will say to piggyback off everything that I've talked about already is that, I know you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel because you just had your surgery and you know that it's a really long process, but I'll be the first one to say, man, time flies, like it absolutely flies. You'll be back before you know it, man. Like, just, keep your head down, work hard, treat others with respect, and do the things that you need to do to be back. But, yeah, man, hopefully you can take something from that. Again, I know it's going to be a grind for you, but, if you need anyone to talk to, I'll be here. So best of luck, brother, and speedy recovery. God bless. See ya. I interrupt this podcast to bring you another 30-second advertisement. Sorry, guys. All right, getting back to the Q&A podcast, got question number 3. I've been having a lot of problems lately with my 2-seam and my 4-seam. Both pitches are quote-unquote nasty. That's what my catcher says, at least. But a lot of the times, both of my pitches will move almost 1 foot from where I'm supposed to throw it at the last second. My pitching coach loves it, but I'm not sold on the hitter swinging at the pitches 24/7 when they move out of the zone or down the middle. Both of the pitches move inward toward a right-handed batter a lot at the last second. I've been working on getting on top of the ball a little bit more and trying to get less side-to-side movement and more pure 4-seam spin. But will it actually sink or still have that arm side movement? Do you have any tips for me to try and control my 4-seam and 2-seam movement? Thank you. Yo, what's going on, man? So, pretty good problem to have, right? I know a lot of guys will, do the opposite, right? Like they obviously want to have movement and they can't get movement. So the fact that you're facing this is a good thing. So first and foremost, the thing that jumps out to me is you made a comment about you're not being sold on if the hitters will swing or be fooled or whatever. I forget exactly what you said. You're not sure the hitters on swinging at the pitches. Okay. So I think first and foremost, you need to get hitters in there, because the hitter is going to be your ultimate tell sign on what your stuff is doing, and get feedback from them as well. Get feedback from them, get feedback from your catchers. Gotta have a good understanding of that stuff, right? So I think first and foremost, get a hitter in there, and don't guess, because right now you're just guessing on saying you're not sold that the hitters will swing. So don't guess, don't leave it a chance. Get absolutes, because honestly, like, that's something you can control right now, is putting a hitter in the box and getting that answer for you. Second thing is, when we talk about 4-seam, 2-seam dynamic and pitch arsenal stuff and pitch profiling and all that, a lot of it goes off of what is the rest of your repertoire, right? Because typically, if you're going to be a curveball guy, or a curveball, 12-6 curveball is your other primary, secondary pitch, then yeah, 4-seam that has, pretty much true ride is going to be your best fastball offering. So same kind of goes for a slider / cutter movement pitch. So the 2-seam will be more effective working off that. So second, that's kind of be into that factor again. You didn't really say your age, so I don't really know where you are. Obviously, this kind of varies depending on what age you are, because we can sit here and get analytical for all the live long day, but if you're in high school, there's no really need for it. So third thing I would say with what's happening for you right now is that you're either throwing from a lower slot, or your wrist is dropping to give the ball, like a tilted axis, right? So the ball, whether it be a 4-seam or a 2-seam, think about it like as you're releasing it, your wrist is either slightly down, that when the ball comes out, it's spinning at 1:30 to o'clock-ish. And that's going to give it an opportunity to, have that movement that you're seeing. Now, if, you really want to be a 4-seam guy and you really want to, take away that movement, you just got to kind of play around, take some iPhone slow motion video of, your arm angle, wrist angle at ball release, and see what you're working with there. But honestly, dude, if you have that movement, you're just going to be a guy that naturally has movement. The first thing you get out of bed, that's a good thing. I would just learn to control that thing. Set your sights a little bit differently, kind of understand that movement profile, get really good at, putting it where you want, man, because movement's a good thing. Maybe stick to whichever one is profiling as the best. And what I mean by that is, when you do get a hitter in there, kind of throw both, in the sense of throwing 4-seams, 2-seams, hey, get some feedback on both, and whatever kind of is shown to be the more superior pitch, stick with that, own that. If you have aspirations of playing college, or again, I don't know your age, you could be in college, who knows, but you have aspirations to play this game or continue playing this game, having one elite pitch is a good step in the right direction, and then obviously we talk more about other offerings, but yeah, man, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can take something from that, but best of luck. God bless. Talk to you.
Okay, jumping ahead, question number 4. I'm a junior in college, and I've been struggling getting my fastball to the glove side consistently and spotting up on that side. What's something I could probably end up doing to help that? ? Okay, we're gonna dive into this email response that I have, and then double back, and I want to throw some more context on this. So here's my email response.
Yo, what's going on, dude? So I think I've talked about this in the past, in the sense of glove side fastball command. I'll talk about the same thing if it's already out there. But for me, what's helped me the most is overemphasizing extension. So what I mean by that is, like, if you're in catch play, if you're throwing your flat ground, or if you're throwing like a bullpen, short box, whatever it is, overemphasize it in the very beginning to get that release point. So for me, every time I start a bullpen, every time I start a flat ground, I'm forcing glove side extension, because I know that if I can hit that extension side fastball, then I'm pretty much on time, and then everything can work from that. So if I'm not there yet, think about, like, visualize it. If I'm throwing a flat ground, right, and I'm trying to go fastball extension, I keep missing arm side up. My timing's a little bit off. So now, for me, the best thing that I've learned that I respond well to is overemphasizing it to the point where I tell my catch partner, hey, I'm going to sit in the same position. Can you, put a hat down and move like 3 steps to the glove side? And same for the bullpen, right? Tell your catcher, hey, can you put yourself, in the other batter's box. So we force that, and then you can work from there. So for me, I'm a big sights guy. I think, we throw a baseball for so long, or not so long, but like we've done it for so, much time, that our body knows how to organize itself to complete a task, to complete a fastball extension task. It's just now we gotta put itself into a position to best do that. So hopefully that made sense, in the sense of how you can kind of overemphasize extension, because I know early in my career, if I wasn't hitting the extension side fastball, I would just keep trying to hit it. Say the catcher sets up right on the black,
And then it wasn't until later that I learned, like, okay, well, I need to change something. So then I was like, all right, can you, for me being a righty, I was like, can you set up in the on the other batter's box, right on that line? And then I'd force that. And then, over time, you just kind of develop that feel of like, boom, okay, there it is. Boom, there it is. And then you just work your way back. For me, sometimes that's taken me 10, 15 throws. But then when I got it, like I get it, then I'm good. So take that into consideration. Maybe that's something that could work for you. Just overemphasize that extension, even in your flat ground. Catch play is another thing that does carry over to, in the games. So what I mean by catch play is like, tell your partner, hey, we're going to start out throwing today. I'm just going to try to hit that, opposite hip for you. So if you can put your glove on, so for me, again, being a righty, I'm telling my catch partner to put your glove on your right hip. So right off the bat, I'm forcing that, glove side extension. Again, when I know I'm at my best is when I can hit that spot on command, because I know that my release point's on time, everything's in sync, and it's coming out naturally. I'm not having to force that. Usually you see guys that force it, maybe, are cutting that four seam, not letting it, be true. So, hopefully you got something from that, man. But best of luck. God bless. Talk to you soon. All right. So I think anytime we talk about this, because this is something that I struggle with as well. So more specifically, when I was a sinker two seam guy that was just kind of throwing it middle arm side, which was, the easier variation of a fastball to throw, I kind of quickly learned that I struggled with throwing it glove side. So I forget who told me, but it was somewhere along the, in professional baseball, a pitching coach or someone, but he gave me that cue of like, hey, you just need to force the extension. It's not so much about worrying about like there's a mechanical adjustment that's involved, because I think as pitchers, that's the first thing we kind of go to is like, okay, what do I got to do differently in my delivery to allow this to happen? It's not so much that. I think it's trusting the fact that we're super athletic and we're able to make that adjustment. So then it's just all about like the sights and the visualization of it. So another thing that I believe wholeheartedly is that the body will organize itself in any way that it knows how to complete the task. So in order for us to kind of work backwards from that to complete the task, well, if the task is putting your catcher or someone in your catch play like over exaggerately, that's not even a word. Wow, I didn't go to college. Oh man, if you, like putting the catcher or your partner, drastically to the glove side, then your brain sends that signal to the body saying, hey, if we got to complete this task, then it's like we got to do X, Y, and Z for this to happen. So that's kind of where I've been with it, and that's something that really, really helped me along my journey in kind of just understanding that and trusting that. So hopefully that provided some more context, and then we'll get to, I just dropped something, get to my fifth and final question. All right, guys, so I want to apologize. I've been like, this whole podcast, I've been kind of like grinded on microphone positions and stuff. So I just recently got like one of those boom things. I screw it into like a wall, and then I can move and swivel my microphone. I know you guys don't care at all about this, but I just played that back, and there's certain parts that were like lower in sound, and then some are like, there's a big bang, and there's every time I pronounce a word that starts with P, it freaking jumps off the screen. So I want to let you guys know that I do apologize, and I have figured it out. I just put up a little screen thing, so now I feel like I'm in a studio recording an album. No, I don't. All right. Question number 5, fifth and final question. So how is it that I can pound the zone when I throw bullpens and stuff, like at practice or before games, and then when I get into the game, something changes and I don't dominate the zone and struggle to find pitches most times? I never used to be like this, and it's only been since last year or so, but I'm just hoping maybe you can give me a little insight. So, all right, well, I just included the email response that I had to him, and I quickly realized that this happens all the time. Like, my mic isn't set as the default output or input, I guess it would be, and it recorded it as like the MacBook microphone, so it sounds like poop. So I'm just going to go ahead and break this down, and I wanted to provide more context anyways, but I'm going to do a segment, or I just recorded the segment like 45 minutes ago, on this dynamic. So like the mental performance side of it, like why does this happen for us as athletes? Like this person that's asking this is not the only one that kind of struggles with this, right? Because I think question number 1 was very similar to something like this, where things are just changing in a game setting compared to a practice setting. So the segment that I just recorded today was in reference to kind of that dynamic, like why things change. But I wanted to really outline and highlight, ask yourself the question. I was listening to a podcast by the Mind Strong Performance and what's his name? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank again. Harvey Martin, I think it is. Anyways, super insightful. I encourage you guys to check out their podcast, the Mind Strong podcast. But he was talking about like asking questions, like ask yourself a question, ask yourself the question. So like we can't learn unless we're learning. And the only way to learn is like ask those questions. So that's why the segment today I was like talking about when I was at my lowest, right? And I was struggling extremely bad in 2013. I just couldn't figure it out. I knew that I couldn't figure it out. I knew that I was uncomfortable on the mound. I knew like this and that, right? But I never really asked why, like in the heat of battle, right? Like when I was performing, why was I uncomfortable? Why was I not executing pitches? Why was I doing this and that? And I think for those people that do struggle with, game-like situations or just games in general, as you're in the game, like be mindful of that. Like ask that question. Okay, all right, so say you're in a game and all of a sudden, ish hits the fan and you get completely uncomfortable. Like take a step off the back of the mound and ask yourself, all right, why am I feeling this way? Why are my emotions like this? Why do I feel physical restrictions? Why am I tense? So I think if we can ask that question and then kind of develop, like an answer, I guess, in per se, as far as, coming back, say after the outing's over, after the game's over, and being like, all right, I really got to dive into this question because I can't answer this, until I ask it, in a sense. I don't know if that made sense, but that was kind of the thing for me. I never asked myself why. And in the segment that I just recorded, I kind of dive into that and dive into my personal experience as well. So I'll be sure to include that in the show notes when it gets completed. All right, guys, that's another Q&A. So thanks for joining. If you've never listened to me before, be sure to listen to me again, unless I just butchered your first experience with me. All right. Like I said, all the stuff that we talked about today will be in the show notes. Either check that out on your podcast app or head to therobbyrowshow.com/QAPOD9 and you'll see everything we talked about there. And like I just said, I'll try to include that segment that I just did in it, but that means I have to complete that first before I air this podcast. But I can do it. It's fine. I got blue light blocker glasses. All the product reviews that I talked about in the pre-roll and all the discount codes that I talked about in the pre-roll will be linked as well. Enjoy your guys' day. God bless. Much love. Stay safe. Happy social distancing.